Okay, we're going to call the city council meeting to order. Monday, September 12th, 7 p.m. Roll call.
David Paradise.
Nicole Andrea.
Kirby Moyna.
Tom Marsluck.
Sam Solars.
Jessica Bonniwell.
Joe Safi.
Jared Vogie. Dan Reamer.
Michael Sommerfeld.
Invocation.
God, thank you for bringing us together tonight. Thank you for the work that gets to be done for this community. Keep all of us focused on how we build community together. Give us a deep breath, a calm heart as we move forward into what is next. And today we remember those who gave their life 21 years ago, 9/11, and we especially remember our first responders and what a blessing they are and essential to us. And we thank you for their good work, including right now that they're doing out to keep your people safe. Bless these leaders and their families that they must leave to do this work, and keep on moving us forward into your future for us. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Before the Pledge of Allegiance, I would just like to take just a moment of silence just in remembrance for 9/11. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as stated.
I'll second. Further discussion? Mr. Solars. Aye. Mr. Marslick.
Aye.
Mr. Paradise.
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Further discussion? I'll vote aye. Mr. Marslick.
Aye.
Mr. Solars.
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff.
Aye.
Mr. Paradise.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Wright County Sheriff's Office.
So in the month of August, we've had a total of 216 calls for service. Otherwise, nothing new to note. Just general safety advice. Lock your doors, lock your houses. When you get home at the end of the day, take that garage door opener and bring it with you. Unless the council has any further questions.
Other than the one reported garage door opener stolen out of a car that I've seen, has there been any other instances of that in the city?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
And there's no patterns or anything, correct?
No.
Is there any other questions? We have one request for council action. Mr. Matt Lyric.
Approach the podium, state your name and address first, and then
Matt Lyric, 115 Nelson Boulevard, Montrose, Minnesota, 55363. Can I hand you copies, or do I have to hand it to somebody else?
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. If anybody else wants one.
City Attorney.
Thank you.
We, the people of Minnesota, notice of wrong, September 12th, 2022, to the city of Montrose. Notice is hereby given to all public servants and employees of the City of Montrose that the City of Montrose will be charged by me for shutting off water at 115 Nelson Boulevard, Montrose, Minnesota 55363. This notice is due to the City of Montrose threatening to shut off water on September 13th, 2022 as a fraudulently alleged violation of City Code 3008B5 and failure to provide a full, fair, and impartial hearing and investigation. This alleged violation is due to my not accepting a smart water meter to be installed in my home due to the unknown effects of radiation that they emit. Said charges will be as follows. Initial shut off $100,000. Per day, $10,000. Per minute, $10. I respectfully demand 1, an immediate full, fair, and impartial hearing and investigation. 2, a remedy. 3, money damages if need be. 4, indictments for failure by our public servants to keep us safe and protect us to prevent or correct a wrong and or for violating our rights and right to be let alone for all injury and or death to members of the public and in particular my family. You have noticed and you have been warned. This notice is my right and duty. Thanks. Matt Lyric of We the People of Minnesota. And I would ask that you guys all sign my copy that you've received.
I'll just jump in, Mr. Mayor. The receipt of this by the council would already be in the record in the minutes, so I don't, what is the,
You have your mic.
oh, sorry. I'm not sure, this is Joe Sathi, thank you. Yeah, just because this is, you already provided this to us and this would be part of the record, why would each council member then have to sign this receipt?
Can you give me a reason why not?
Yeah, well, just because it's already part of the official record of the city, because it's been presented by you and it's been given to us, so it will be part of the official minutes of the council record. So there's already official record with the city that it's been received. I'm not sure what the legal or sort of practical implication or purpose of having each council member sign it, because each council member is here. It's been noted in the record that they're here. And then it's also will be in the record that we have received this notice from you, and it will be in the minutes as well.
And this will be my hard copy.
Then, well, I'm not sure that there's a reason to have a hard copy, a legal reason.
You're an attorney, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you would understand the reason for having a hard copy, correct?
No.
You don't understand?
I'm saying that I don't understand why you would need a hard copy of something signed by.
I didn't know that technology was fail-proof.
I'm not sure what the appropriate response to that would be.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to sign that.
No, I'm not either.
Could you speak up, state your name, please? And
Yeah, Sam Solars, I'm not going to sign this.
okay.
You know,
City Council Nicole Andrioff, and I'm not signing that either.
you talk about the, you know,
I don't think it's
three people.
appropriate, Matt.
Well, I'm sorry. I just want one at a time for the record.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable signing that, so I'm just not going to. Talk about free will, yeah, I'm not going to sign it. So,
Same here, Tom Marslock.
Okay.
I already wrote my name on there.
Okay, and then Nicole.
Andrioff.
Okay, and, all right,
You wanna hand him his copy back?
thank you.
So from what my understanding of the situation is that the city tried to take a read of your water meter in July, and they got zero. Complete zero for any kind of reading. And then upon, and Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but then upon being notified of a possible water shutoff, they took a reading and it was more than double what your usual per month would have been, because it had, the previous month had been missed in July. So August was more than double based off of not having a reading in July.
That is correct.
And so the remedy that's being looked at is replacing the old water meter with a new one that the state says can be used. That's the state recommendations, correct, Dan?
The state, and it is also in accordance with FCC regulations, according to the manufacturer. This is the meter we decided to go with 2 years ago when we switched to cellular. The specifics on that was the prior Public Works Director. I can't give you specifics why you went with this company. We've used Badger and Orion. Even the old ones are a Badger name brand. We do not have to physically go read these. These call their own readings in to City Hall. It was to save the city time and money.
That is my understanding of it.
And so, one of the things that, I don't know if you had brought up or somebody else had brought up, was that an outside mounting of it.
Yes.
But I believe the manufacturer had said that anything below -4, which, I mean, that could be October, I guess.
I'll even build you a house for it.
-4 degrees will cause it to fail. And let's be real, it's Minnesota.
It states in your paperwork that, oh, not yet, yes, -4 degrees, it won't read, but it will hold data for 42 days.
Yeah, once it warms back up, the data will be sent back.
So it could take one
But
day.
in 42 days, there could be a billing cycle, and we'll run into the situation again where you didn't get charged for 1 month, and then the next month you get charged double.
But I did not complain about that. That's not my complaint. And I paid it without any complaint whatsoever.
That's correct.
So, yes, that part I understand, but so then, has the city, has it been inspected yet, Dan, whether or not it's been tampered with?
It has not, we have not went in there.
Is there a reason why?
To set up a date with him. When something starts going faulty like that, we usually just replace it with a new one, so we don't have to go back in.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
So initially I was not notified of it, my wife was, and Dan came in to change it out, and she called me because he couldn't get to it because I had a lot of stuff in the way. And luckily I did. I talked to the city about it then and told them that I didn't want a smart meter. I asked what model they want to install. I did some research on it. I'm not comfortable with it in my house. We came to an agreement that because it read the following month that we weren't going to do anything about it. We were going to leave it. Dan wants to inspect it, and I've been very busy as it's summer, and I have not got back to Dan. Well, then I got a phone call from Dan 2 Fridays ago, and he said that we are going to put a new one in, like it or not. And that's where we're at today.
Yeah, he's not wrong. That was what, 2 months ago? I don't know the exact how many days it took him to get back to us. I don't know why we're beating around the bush. I feel it needs a new one, so we don't run into this issue again. I guess it's up to the council to decide what you want to do with this.
Has there been any, has the landlord said anything to the city about if he'd like a new one put in, or what his opinion is on it?
I don't want to speak for the landlord because he's not here, and I told him to attend, so we'll just leave it at that. He told me he's going to get involved once the water gets shut off. I did ask him to attend, and he did not want to.
So the landlord and I have an agreement that he won't be paying anything. It's not his responsibility. This is my fight. It's my family living in the radiation, and it's my responsibility to pay a shut-off, a disconnection fee or anything, you know. I'm not asking for much other than to be left alone. I'm free. You know, just because the FCC says that it's safe, or Badger Meter says that it's safe, doesn't make it safe. I mean, we've found that out about many things in the past. So I don't feel that I'm out of line asking for a remedy. You know, like I said, outside or whatever we can think of. I mean, if it's still working, great. We can continue using the one that's in there. I've offered to buy my own and have it installed. If I have to take photos every month and send them to you, that's fine with me. I'll do whatever you need. I'm not trying to get out of paying any water bill. I'm not trying to steal. I shouldn't say steal, as it's our water as we the people's. I'm trying to be very fair. I'm not trying to cause any trouble.
When would be the soonest that you could let in employees to examine the water meter?
Tomorrow morning.
I would like to set up, Wright County chaperone with this one, please, so I would have to schedule that with Wright County.
Can you state why?
I feel unsafe around you, sir.
Okay, state that. Can we get that on the record? Why?
Because I do. We've had conversations.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. Well, we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. So, well, besides having more government in my house, which I don't appreciate, I also don't appreciate the way Dan has handled this. If he's holding this position, it shouldn't be handled the way he handled it.
The regard was Christie, the utility billing clerk, tried to handle this regard before it even got to me.
Yes.
I don't want to speak for her, but it got given to me because she was getting nowhere with it.
And we did get somewhere. Christie told me that we had handled it and that we, you know, with her and Dan speaking to each other, they had agreed that we would not change it out because it is working now. So, I don't know why Dan said that.
I'd never agreed with Christie not to do that, but then again, you know, I can't speak. She's not here. I wish she was, but with any meter in town that starts malfunctioning, I've worked here 20 years, we replace it with our new meter. That's it. So city staff ain't gotta go back again and get back into the house and schedule a meeting and do this and do that. We just upgrade it to the newest one that we have. And that's all I'm asking. We both agree that it did not read 1 month. It's not that it did not read, it would not read. Then the next month miraculously it started reading.
Who is we?
I personally read it.
But
I
you
do
said
the-
we
I do the
both-
meter
We
reading.
both agreed that it didn't read. Who's we?
Me and Christie,
Okay.
the utility billing clerk.
Okay. And I don't know that as fact. I can't know that as fact. And
I guess-
honestly, you know, if that's the way things have been in the past, it's great. I'm asking for something different. I'm offering to pay for that.
Once you set up, are there other days that you could, if we don't shut the water off tomorrow, are there other days that do work to be able to have inspection done on the water meter?
We can figure something out. If we can do it soon, I have to put off my work for this. So my schedule tomorrow is, I can fit it in tomorrow, as soon as possible, or in the morning. But
I'd like to reiterate with council here, if we go and inspect it, we don't find anything wrong with it. Instead of coming back to another council meeting, but in 2 months it quits reading again, I'd like to know which way you want Public Works to go with it.
Well, and that was kind of my next question where I was gonna go to after that is, if this isn't just a one-time occurrence and it does break down, are we gonna have this kind of the same fight of upgrading to the new technology that they say as long as you're I mean, this is about 20 centimeters. It says as long as your head's not by it, basically, that you'll be okay, from what I read. Which,
Yep.
fair point that we've been told in the past that things are safe and they actually aren't.
Yep,
We're experiencing that now, but
yep. So, what's your question?
what would be your remedy then if this is broken down and needs to be completely replaced and we're using the new technology?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I suppose it's not completely up to me, right? We should agree on something.
Yeah.
I have offered to buy one and read it for you. As much as I honestly don't even want a smart meter at all, I have accepted you putting it outside within 20 feet away from my house. And yeah, actually the valve is about that far away. It'd probably be a good place to put it. I bet somebody in town would love a smart meter, and you can give me their old one that works if mine is malfunctioning. I bet you have hundreds of them in town here. I'll buy 5 of them from you to keep on hand for me.
Council, so you're aware, Badger meter, I'm not sure what Christie was here, but Badger meter, from what I was told by the prior, Public Works Director, Badger meter no longer makes the two-way radio one that's currently in his house. That's why we upgraded to cellular.
Yeah. How does that refute what I'm saying? I said I'll buy other ones from.
There's, in this town, we have two-way radios, and we have cellular, and maybe 2 or 3 really old, manual read meters, which we're talking the school here, which is like an 8-inch meter, which, yeah, that's not, so, we don't even have an old manual read laying around here anymore.
But you must have some, like the ones that are in my house, the one in my house.
We do, but they no longer make them. We don't have any leftovers. We used up what we got when we switched to
I
cellular.
know. I'm trying to offer a remedy, and he's not being helpful in any way. I just stated that, I'll buy old ones. I'm sure there's a lot of people in town that don't care about this, and they would love a new smart meter. They could care less. So if you want to replace them, give me half a dozen of them. I'll buy them from you. And you can put them in anytime I have a bad one. That should keep me going for, technically the life on these are supposed to be like 20 years. So, 100 years, 120 years.
Can we take our first step in getting this inspected? I think that Mr. Lyric, I'm saying that right, correct? Okay.
Yes.
That Mr. Lyric is on board with getting it inspected, that he would like to do it sooner rather than later, and that we could have 2 Public Works employees go to do the inspection.
We will be chaperoned by Wright County, just to let him know.
And he's,
We're willing to assist to keep the peace.
I think that'd be better for everybody, it's for your protection as well too, just so that there's extra eyes there. So are we able to take that as the first step? And then if we need to replace this, then we can revisit it the next month. But I'd be happy to hear if we have any other opinions on how we'd like to go through with this, if there are any other ones.
This was the first time this has happened, correct?
Correct.
This hasn't happened before? At this
I don't believe it happened before. I think, yeah, the first time it would not read was in July, correct? Or June, one of those 2 months.
Yeah, I think we got
It was July.
it was July.
Yeah.
That's the only time. Yeah, he's paying his water bills. I think, if you can, let them come in and inspect it, we can kind of go from there. I don't think we need to be rash here and make a drop-dead decision right this moment, but, obviously, we would like to work with you and, try to get this resolved as quickly and peacefully as possible. So if you can let them come in, inspect it, and if everything comes back fine, then, hey, we've got nothing to worry about here,
With that said, we still need to I mean, if everything's fine, I mean, that statement doesn't really, I mean, yes, everything's fine at the moment, but the real problem is that,
If it's not.
Yes.
well, it might not be for 6 months, but we still need to, we should address it immediately, because the real problem is that it didn't read one time, and that's where Dan said it needs to go. So we should just get rid of the issue right now. We should come up with a remedy immediately, instead of waiting and doing it later.
So I mean, looking at, from what they're saying about these, and obviously we're not in the best of weathers in the wintertime, and we hit those negative temperatures. And you wanting it to be outside, what, you said you would build something to put there to make sure it doesn't. I mean, is that something that you're gonna do to ensure that these things are not hitting the -4 or even below and being able to read every month?
I mean, it was kind of a ridiculous thing to offer.
You offer it.
Yes, I did. The fact is that the company has put in a safe proof, a fail safe, that it will read for 42 days. And there is that. I mean, how many days below zero or below -4 do we have in a row that are more than 42 days? It's unlikely.
Let's not tempt it, though. let's
Well,
put
no,
that
I
out in the air.
understand. I honestly would rather buy old ones from you. I would honestly rather do that.
If we
I'll
had
give you
older
full- I'll
ones,
give you full price.
if we had older ones, I think that we would sell them to you, no problem.
But you do want to install these throughout the city, correct?
When they go bad.
But why not do it prematurely for people who don't care about the technology, and then I'll buy the old ones from you? I mean, it's a heck of a way to make some money. I'll give you full price for them.
Logistically, how would you go about even
That
putting
would
that
be,
together?
that would be the
Well,
problem, yeah.
let me ask the council something. When we do, and it won't be soon, but when we do replace the old two-ways with cellular and he's the last one left, then what do you do? So that's why I'd like an answer on this now, because, we're also losing software here. I mean, software is being, we had to change the way we read these two ways now. Jessica kind of knows what I'm talking about here without going into detail. We used to be able to read them with a handheld, now we gotta read them with a laptop and an antenna a fixed antenna on the truck. We also have to pay a monthly fee to read these two ways because they're getting so outdated. So there is really no meters out there other than smart meters right now.
If we put it outside, will it break being in -60-degree weather and then the next day it's in 20-degree
I
positive?
can't guarantee anything, and this is a wired head, so this, I don't even know, there might be 10 feet of wire on it. It's a wired module, maybe 20 feet, so it's gonna get mounted to the outside exterior of his house,
Why is that?
because that's the way they made it.
I'm sorry that, I thought that we had more capable people in America that can invent things.
Yeah,
I'm very sorry, I don't understand, you're very, you don't seem to want to help.
we're not gonna go with a whole new meter company just for one meter.
I didn't ask for that.
I don't know.
I'm willing to pay extra if, I'm the one pain in the butt in town. I don't care. I'm just looking for some sort of remedy, and you
So
just don't want to
Me
do
too.
anything.
I'm gonna give the council my opinion. It needs to be replaced and updated with a new one. That's my opinion. His opinion, he doesn't want it, so I guess.
Dan, do we have a plan in town to replace all of the older meters like I have in my house?
It has not been set up yet because we still have the capabilities to read them, but if we get a license saying that they're gonna shut down that bandwidth, then we'll have to come up with a plan. That's kind of what happened with it like 15 years ago, so, no, we don't have a plan with switching them out because it's very, very expensive.
I say, what's the cost per meter?
For the new ones, I believe we charge $350 when we sell it for a second water meter, and that covers straight costs. That's us not, we're not making money when we sell them for a second meter.
Yeah, it was actually 300.
Is it 300? Well, I think with this, I don't know. I'm not utility billing clerk, I'm public works, so I don't know. I think it's $350 when you buy it as a second meter because it comes with also the bronze nipples that get attached, and we get charged for those also. And then also the 350 is part of the permit for the second meter, so I just tell everybody it's 350.
I could be wrong. I'm not gonna state that positively. I'm pretty sure it said 300 in your code.
Well, whether it's 300 or 350, I mean,
I'm just, the only reason I bring it up is because of, I'm offering to buy old ones. So,
And part of the problem here is that the RF radio is, I mean, it is an aging technology. Then unfortunately, it's the way the world's going.
Is that what you have in your house?
Yeah,
That's what I have in my house too.
yeah. So,
I don't even have internet in my house because I don't want radio waves going throughout my house. I don't even, no, it doesn't matter. I don't have cable, but that's nothing to do with radio waves.
Can we put a post up and mount a radio on outside, off the house? I know it's adding an extra step, but it would alleviate all of our current circumstances we're running into. We replace it, it's mounted
it's a
on a
wired
pole.
lead, it's a wired lead, so if we put it on a post,
The wire would have to be buried.
then that has to be done by the homeowner, because the Public Works is, you're getting into legality issues there, I'm assuming, right? I mean, can we dig in somebody's yard? That's beyond our easement?
We'd have to have some type of agreement that
Yeah,
would say.
permission.
Right.
And why-
Okay.
Would we need that from the homeowner or the renter?
We would need it from the property owner.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Because it says in here that it doesn't matter if it's rained on, snowed on, sleet on, as long as it's not submerged underwater.
Correct. But it's a wired lead, and I don't know, Coco, what do you think is on those wired leads? I'm thinking like 10 feet, 15 feet at the most. Now, mind you, this meter's in his basement, probably ground level. You won't even make it to the green grass in the yard
With what?
with the wire lead. This is the meter we use. I mean,
What?
So it'll get what, 5, 6 feet off the house?
I don't even think it'll go, it might, depending upon where the meter's at.
Are you telling us that you cannot extend the wire lead?
I'd have to call Badger and ask them. I'm sure it's possible. We'd have to send it in and have a wire lead added.
It's all fixed together.
Yeah.
Or, like I said, I'll buy the old ones.
Yeah, we can't solve any technological issues that Badger has with his equipment right now, but, I think getting your meter inspected and getting, because mine are still working. They read mine, and mine reads every month. So was that a fluke on yours for once? Was there something piled around it that prevented it from reading? I have no idea. I don't think any of us really know,
Correct. I've had some of those two-way ones just quit working. Just out of nowhere, quit working. And by the way, the two-way ones there's a battery in them, because they are radio. Sometimes the batteries last as long as they say they're supposed to. Sometimes the batteries just die out. That's why we don't usually mess around. We set up a time with the homeowner to come and look at if it's malfunctioning. We just get rid of the two-way and install cellular immediately. I'm not saying it could work for another 2 years. It could glitch again another 2 months. What we do as Public Works is we usually update right away. If we gotta get in the basement, because it's hard, setting up a time with the homeowner, and that works for everybody to get in there, so, we usually just update it. While we're in there, we just update to the new one. Will this old one work? Yes. Maybe, I don't know. So as Public Works, instead of getting in the house 3, 4, 5, 6 times, having this conversation every other month when it starts glitching out, we just upgrade. That's what we do. I'm just telling you what we do normally.
And we're still stuck on that instead of moving forward.
Yeah, and you have some legitimate beliefs about the microwave energy emitted from these things, and I understand that. So I'm not sure whether we have an impasse here or what. I think, if we ever plan to replace these older meters a little bit at a time, we can hang on to a couple of them just in case, or you can buy them as you suggested. I mean, I don't know what other alternative, because I think we're just gonna sit here and butt heads forever.
I would very much appreciate that, and Dan, I would love to work with you. I would. I'll whatever we can do to make this work. And I would like to apologize, Dan. You caught me at a really bad time. I had concrete coming and I wasn't ready. I do apologize. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was very heated.
Yeah, you seem like a reasonable man,
And surprised, because Christie and I had talked, and originally we were going to leave it alone, and then Dan called and said that we were going to replace it. So it was a surprise, and I was very stressed out. And I don't want to cause problems for anybody. I just want to work with everybody.
I just think if we could find out if we can get the wire even 5 feet off the house mounted to a pole.
Are we smithing in a 4x4 post here, or what are we doing? Shoving a stick in the ground and zip tie it to it? We don't normally do these things, so I need specific instructions from the council what you want Public Works to do then.
Yeah, I understand that this is different than we've run into in the past. I think to alleviate not only the city's worry of it not reading, and then we have exorbitantly huge water bills, which we don't want you to have to pay, and all of that, and you not having to worry about every other month someone needing to come in and inspect it again. If we can inspect it, swap it out, put a pole outside, I'd be okay with I don't know how big the meter exactly would be, a 6x6 into the ground.
Or an easier route of possibly putting an old, like I said, I'll buy the old ones. Yeah, if it's more simple, which it seems like it might be.
If we had them around. I mean, if somebody
Yeah,
wants to swap one, maybe someone in the audience today will just say, I want a brand new one, you can take my old one.
Yeah.
And by the way, water meters never get faster. They always slow down. Just to let people know that.
Just like me.
Yeah. So when you're updated, when we did this update in town, just to let the council know, we've noticed that our old meters they were manual. I mean, the internals of the meter were manual. They turn like a turbine. The new ones are electronic flow meters. There's nothing to turn, and then people usually call and complain that their usage went up. Well, of course it did, because the old one didn't turn. I mean, it got wore out, started wearing down, turned slow. So every new meter usually is 99.5% correct.
What is the lifespan, like a certified lifespan of them?
Of the flow meter, of the electronic flow meter, I don't know. I'm sure Badger would let me know. Once again, they're plastic. The old ones were metal.
They must be, 15 years?
I'm assuming I would go 12 to 15. They're not going to make nothing last forever, because then you would never have to buy a meter again.
Yeah, but they're also not gonna state a lifespan outside of what they would certify.
Right. So there's really, I don't know. I mean, we have them in over 180 houses in town already. Which is about, I would guess, a third, maybe a fourth of the total meters in town. Which then we, as Public Works, pretty much the whole entire Whitetail development is cellular. We don't even have to drive out there to read. Christie can look at live readings anytime she wants.
All right, we understand the convenience of that, Dan.
I agree, but we do not have any of the old meters. The ones we do have are ones that we've taken out that are malfunctioned. On hand.
I would like to suggest a new remedy. Anything can be rebuilt, and I will find a rebuilder, and I can have them rebuilt and recertified if that's what needs to be done. And I'm not a throwaway kind of guy. I mean, I don't like new vehicles. I don't even want to upgrade. I'll fix my old stuff When stuff goes wrong, I fix it. I want to deal with the problems. I don't like throwing stuff away for new technology. I'm not a fan of new technology. It's just who I am, and I'm willing to do that.
I know we're probably trying to find a solution, obviously, today. But can we start with just getting in there and inspecting it to make sure that it's even working correctly? If it's working correctly, is that something that we can put a pin in until it doesn't work correctly again? Or
What can you explain the inspection to me?
I will come down there probably with myself and another public works employee and Wright County. Wright County will probably be entering your house. Oh, yeah. I bring my handheld with, and depending upon which, there was also 4 different kinds of radio reads we used at one point. So depending upon which one it is exactly, I ain't gonna know until I get in the house. I don't know if it's a fixed unit. Is that unit where the box is mounted?
Can I show you a picture?
Sure can.
I'm sorry, I have so many of my family.
So if it's a fixed unit, I'll take the head off, look at the meter, make sure it works. If it's a wired unit, we'll inspect the wire, make sure it hasn't been cut. And then obviously make sure it is a radio read no matter what, make sure there's no obstacles around it, so it gets the signal out. That's pretty much the inspection.
Do you have any batteries from those?
They are, you cannot just replace, they're sealed into the head
Okay.
unit
Okay.
with epoxy. They're epoxy sealed batteries.
With stated by the manufacturer lifespan of 20 years.
For the new ones?
Yeah. It's a Model 25.
Yeah, so that's a fixed head, old, yeah, that's a fixed, so the reader's actually attached to the meter on this one. So the radio is on the meter, which is down, is that, what do you say, how far off the ground do you think it is in your basement?
2.5, 3 feet.
Okay. That is one of the reasons why some of them have, we don't have them anymore, but some of them got box readers where there's a wire come off. We mounted the box up a little higher because we had a harder time getting the signal out. We no longer, Badger no longer even sells those anymore, as far as what we were told, so.
Yeah, I was on their website and it looked like they offered the same one. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying Dan's lying. I'm saying that a salesman might not have told you the truth.
So that's part of the inspection. That's what we do.
And the reason I asked for what the inspection would look like is because it is reading, and so what can we inspect visually?
I could also make sure that, I mean, my handheld kind of gives me a signal strength on it. It'll tell me what kind of signal I'm getting outside the house.
But it is reading from the road where it's supposed to, correct?
It did last month. I don't read it every day. I read on the 15th every month. But I was with the laptop. Yes, it did.
Okay. So what I'm wondering is, I understand you want to inspect it, but realistically, what's the purpose of the inspection? And, you know,
I think that if they're able to go in there and inspect it and they can find out that it's not faulty and it does not need to be replaced, might be more of a benefit to you. That if you want to keep it and you don't want to go for the new technology, that at least having them go in and tell you, hey, it's fine, it might have been a glitch in the matrix, or maybe it is, you know, Dan will be able to let you know.
so that's already been stated, and I'm not worried about, I'm not asking for that.
But then we can avoid jumping the hoops of the new meter. You know what I'm saying? If you want to keep an old meter
So
for right now.
the visual inspection doesn't seem like it's going to do anything, besides bring law enforcement into my household, which is very uncomfortable to me.
So are you saying you don't want them to come and inspect it?
Well, not really. If it's reading, then I would like to know what we are visually inspecting. And why, I mean, I understand because of the conversation that Dan wants to bring law enforcement into my house, but, and I have nothing against you, I'm sorry if this sounds like that, but
Well, I'll go into your house with a public works guy if you stay outside by law enforcement. I don't have a problem with that. And law enforcement could stay outside too.
okay.
As long as I would get access down your meter safely. You have no Rottweilers or anything that are gonna come around the corner on me.
Just kids.
Okay,
Sometimes worse.
so I have no problem with that at all. But yeah, we physically inspect to see if the meter was tampered with also. There's a lead seal on these meters.
Yeah.
Wire lead seal. We have found in the past people tamper with these, so.
Could I show you some pictures? I have multiple pictures of it with date stamps that are after the alleged non-read. Would that be sufficient that it wasn't tampered with, that the wires that you just described?
Are they still intact, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen, just telling you from my experience, and Coco's been there with me, we've seen people, even put on their own leads and make it look like they didn't tamper with it, but we know
Okay.
exactly when it's tampered with.
I understand. A guy just told me he did that. He's no longer in town. So I understand you're telling the truth, and that's fine. If you want to come in, I get it.
I would feel more comfortable with us coming in, and most likely we will put a different seal on it,
Okay.
just to make sure. Seals get broken in town all the time, just to let you guys know that, on purpose, when people have plumbing work done, and then we gotta go in and reseal them. So it's not like our first time going to reseal meters here. We do it all the time, so.
I think what Ms. Andrap was getting at is that I don't know if we're gonna find the perfect solution right at this moment for what if we have to replace it, and she'd like to be able to have those conversations once we know a little more information.
Yeah, I think if we get the inspection done and that meter continues to run, we can look at what the alternative is gonna be if that thing ever fails again.
And
Okay.
can we?
And by then, we may have a couple of meters that someone is, I mean, you can replace mine for all I care. I'm 2 years old, and a little bit of microwave isn't gonna put me away any sooner than normal, so.
Can we talk about it soon? Can we figure this out soon so that I don't have to come back to another
Yeah,
city council meeting?
I'm totally fine with that too. I think, I don't think we're gonna come up to, that solution right now. I think this
Yeah.
is something that needs to be a little bit more, looked at a little bit further. I think, getting the inspection in there would, kind of get us in that starting point, and then we can go from there, I mean.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, go ahead.
Can we agree then that we will not be installing a smart meter inside my house?
At this point,
At this point, yeah.
yes.
And that's one of the options. It gives us some time to investigate. Can we put it outside? What's the criteria for putting outside? Length from the house, all that stuff, because we don't know that now.
Yeah.
And then maybe if you do, since you do concrete work, you said,
I
right?
can help out, yep.
That, well, I was going more with then maybe we'll be able to have that conversation when things slow down a little bit, when it gets cooler.
Oh, sorry.
That's where I was going with that.
I thought you were talking about putting the post in the ground. Or in the driveway, I can help you out.
I was looking for when it slows down, so then you don't have to take off work or take days off. Then it's a little slower time and there's more flexibility.
Well, as for if we do need to put a post in the ground, then I will make time for that before it freezes. So,
Fair enough.
and I'll dig the hole for you.
Yeah, so now I think, Dan, we need to figure out whether that's an option. Yeah,
Get
Um,
longer
outside,
leads.
away from the
I can
house.
call Badger and see if I get a longer lead put on it, but usually when it comes to the meters, we supply it, homeowner does everything else. So, I guess if you guys,
I'm sorry, what do you mean by everything?
so if the council agrees that they want it on a post, you dig the wire in, you put it on the post, you supply your own post. Homeowner usually does that. Just like in a second meter situation where they come to buy the second meter. Homeowner hires his own plumber, homeowner installs it themselves, we just come in and do a final inspection.
But this is the main meter.
Correct. And it's the same thing. When we sell them for new construction, it's part of the permit, but, you know, we don't pay the plumber to put it in. The homeowner, the company pays the plumber to put it in. So anything above and beyond us just replacing it usually falls on the homeowner. Am I not wrong with that? I mean, that's usually the way it goes.
Yeah, that's correct. And you've already offered to do the
Yes,
hard work.
Okay.
And I'm sure that you will contact the homeowner, let them know that this is
absolutely.
the road you're going down, okay?
I'll call Badger and ask him how long of a lead we could put on a new one. So,
I would like it at least 20 feet away from the house.
okay,
And if that is not an option, I would like to, and I still prefer the route of the old meters.
And that's, yeah, I think that's something we could look into. It just, again, it's something that we don't have the, you know, in front of us right now where we can't just say, okay, this is the route we're taking. I think that, again, that first step would be, let's get this in there, take a look at it, and then go from there.
All right. So then, it sounds like we're in agreement then that the water won't be shut off tomorrow and that we're going to work together?
As long as Dan can get in there and do the inspection, absolutely.
So then I'll just be in contact with Dan then?
correct. And like I said, I need time, like a 20 or 30-minute heads up to schedule something with Wright County on this.
And is that tomorrow morning is not good?
Will it work? What time are you thinking?
What time you would?
We
like
start
to
at 7.
You can do 7 if you want.
I don't know if Wright County's in town at 7.
Are we going to make any noise? The babies are sleeping.
It might be, it might, I mean,
After 10 would be the preferred time for Wright County, because that's when you guys have a contract.
That's when we have our town car. Yep.
okay. Our contract car's in town at 10 o'clock. Well, this is something that the city would have to pay extra for assistance on this, I'm assuming. No?
No.
Just our contracted coverage.
How about we just work it out, and we'll set something up and I'll get a hold of you. I have your or your number, right?
Yep.
So I'll get a hold of Wright County and we'll set a date. We're not gonna shut you off tomorrow, so you ain't gotta worry about that. I'd just like to get in there within the next week or so.
Okay. The next 2 days would probably be best for me.
Okay,
But tomorrow will be difficult, probably. Actually, yeah, maybe Wednesday would be better.
yep. So I'll get a hold of you Tuesday and I'll get, Wright County lined up for Wednesday morning. And then I'll tell you, whatever, we'll work it out.
Okay, and then going forth, can we work on a relationship where we don't need the police?
I believe so.
Okay. That would be my, I would prefer that. And I'm sure so would they and you as well.
I think we all would, yep.
Okay, so we have a plan in place. Start
Yes.
with the inspection, and we're gonna look at Wednesday as the hopeful date.
Correct.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Mr. Lyric.
I really appreciate it. And I can leave, right?
Yes.
Don't wake up the kids.
Okay, city council.
The Park and Rec meeting, City Council meeting, Celebrate Montrose meeting, Burgers in the Park, and special workshop.
City Council, Park and Rec, Montrose Days meeting, and workshop.
Burgers in the Park workshop, budget meeting with a potential builder, League of Minnesota Cities, tax basics webinar, and a policy committee for the League of Minnesota Cities and council meeting.
Okay, I had council meeting, workshop, preliminary budget meeting, land development meeting, and 3 or 4 Wright County board meetings.
City Council, Planning and Zoning Workshop, Burgers in the Park, and Celebrate Montrose.
Fire department.
I have nothing other than the activity report, which is in your packet.
Thanks, Kevin. Planning and zoning.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mr. Smallwood was unable to attend the meeting this evening, So I'll just give a brief rundown of our August 10th Planning and Zoning meeting. We had the public hearing for the preliminary plat for Creekside Hollow. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of that to go to council. The developer has actually asked for an additional month, that's why they're not here right now, so they can make some changes based on recommendations from our city planner and city engineer regarding some tree replacement issues and also some street issues that they're gonna take a look at and get back to us in October. Second item is commission member attendance for Sean Cuff. He missed 3 consecutive meetings. The planning commission did recommend, they made a motion to recommend keeping him on planning and zoning regardless of those absences. They did talk to him about the importance of attending the meetings and that let him know that he is a valuable asset on planning and zoning, and they do not want to lose him, so they do recommend to council to keep him on, but that is up to you guys tonight to make a motion to approve him staying on or removing him from the commission.
I'll make a motion to retain Commissioner Sean Cuff on the commission.
I'll second.
Discussion. And he was missing for family stuff, correct?
Correct. He was coaching baseball for the season for his kids, and it just happened to fall on the planning and zoning nights.
Can we make sure just to get him another copy of the
Bylaws.
expectations for commission members?
The next item is
Any other discussion on that?
Sorry. I guess we're done.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes 5-0 to keep Sean Cuff on the planning and zoning.
Great. Next item was the LGI Northridge plat extension request. I believe Jay was here. He's here. Hi, Jay. So if you have any questions about that, they would like to extend the plat, recording the final plat until 2023. And there is a request, written request in your packet for that.
I'll make a motion to approve extending the final plat to the spring of 2023.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Similarly, the next item is a request to extend the Overson Edition plat also until 2023 for financial reasons.
I'll make a motion to extend Overson final plat extension.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Where are we at on the tree ordinance?
We will actually be having a discussion about that Wednesday at Planning and Zoning this week.
Okay. So we're pretty close on getting
Yep,
that all
that'll
figured
start
out.
the process, and then we'll likely have to have a public hearing and get that, likely get that changed.
Yeah, because
capped.
I know that's a big concern of these developers too, is just the exorbitant amount of trees that they would.
Yeah, and we're hoping to get that amount capped, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything for planning and zoning? Park and Rec?
Ms. Jay?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First of all, I have to apologize for not being here at the last meeting. That was on me. I totally missed the date, so to speak. Anyway, Park and Recs continues to be active within the community, working every day, trying to improve the parks and the rec system within the city of Montrose. A couple things I want to discuss is Boy Scouts in the park. We had a table there, Park and Rec had a table there at the event, and Kayla, our secretary, developed these brochures to hand out there. And part of these pictures explains a little bit about us and then why we ran for the Park and Rec Board. I thought she did a great job. I don't know if you had a chance to see these.
It was a really
Very
good
nice.
pamphlet, yeah.
Yep, she did an excellent job on that. The person that manned the board was Michelle Otto, because a lot of us commissioners on the board had a lot of commitments. I actually was out of town that weekend. We also handed out information on community gardens and Adopt a Park, just trying to get information out to the community at events and educate them a little bit more about parks and recs and the programs that are available to them. Park and Rec made a motion to reimburse the Boy Scouts. And we recommended $400 out of the Park and Rec Board budget. So I don't know if that needs an approval by the city council or not. I'm just new, so you have to excuse me for asking a question. But we want to reimburse back the Boy Scouts if possible, $400.
I'll make a motion to approve a $400 donation to the Boy Scouts.
Well, Mr. Mayor, one question. What would you be reimbursing the Boy Scouts?
Their operational costs that they accrued. I understand it was pretty substantial, and the Park and Board just wanted to make, I don't know, help me out here, Michelle, am I wording this correctly?
Yeah, so the Park and Rec typically helps sponsor an event within the community, and we put money towards that event.
Right.
So we're looking to take $400 out of our funding and put it towards the event that was had in August.
And does that usually go to, so for city expenditures, generally, it can't be a specific donation to an organization like the Boy Scouts, but if they provided a service to the city, that's the thing I'm trying, if it was, you're paying the Boy Scouts $400 because they put on the event with the city, they cleaned up the park, you paid them $400 because they were the service thing, they cleaned up the park. That's generally something that's allowed as a city expenditure, but just a donation. I know this is a very small amount.
It would be, Park and Rec would be sponsoring the portion of the KRWC event that was there.
The radio.
The radio show.
The radio show.
Would be sponsored by Park and Rec.
Okay, I think that's I think there's an advertising expense then.
Yes.
Then I think that's.
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, we're just new to this. We're just trying to figure out the best way.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
Further discussion?
Thank you, Michelle.
All vote yes, Mr. Solars? Aye. Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Council. On 7-Eleven, obviously you heard, we're having special meetings beyond the park board meetings. Our goal as a Park and Rec is to get out and visit the parks. And we held one on 7-Eleven, and we visited Lent Park and Regional Park. The Regional Park, I'm going to come back around at the end of my presentation, and we'll get the city engineer involved and talk a little bit about that. But on Lent Park, we identified some cosmetic and some maintenance needs that are either short-term or going to be long-term. So we identified some corrective maintenance issues, such as in the skateboard park, get the grass out of the cracks, seal up the cracks on the path. There's quite a bit of cracks in the path, and they get those weeds out of there to make it a little bit more cosmetic. We also talked about moving to the sign was offset off the road, but bringing more out towards in front of the rock where it's more visible. Dan has done a great job and has supported that issue and got all those things done for us. We also identified 2 park benches to be installed along the walking paths. So we did that also. Again, just some immediate needs, some immediate cosmetics, where people can see things being done immediately. That's what our goal is here a little bit. The long-term thing that we had was next year probably get out the soccer nets. They didn't get out this year, and it's kind of late, so next year we'll probably try to get them all a little bit earlier. And then we'll prioritize this as needed, but the drainage area over there at the end of the walking path seems to be kind of crumbling and might be a safety risk. So we'll probably have to prioritize that and come back with you with some ideas and how serious it is and that type of thing. But just, we'll get that done. On 8/29, we had a meeting. We met at Veterans Park and Carver Park. Again, we identified some cosmetic and maintenance things, but the Park and Rec Commission hasn't had time to talk about those yet and prioritize them and see what the Public Works Director can handle and what we have to do to take care of the rest. And then once we identify those changes, then we'll update the Park and Trails plan. I think our goal is to try to get to all the parks by the end of the fiscal year, and then try to get this document, because I know that's real important for the city council. That's one of the things that directives you guys gave us as far as your task and missions were concerned. Future special meetings. We would like to hold additional special meetings in September, October, and November. And I understand from talking with Christie that I have to propose that to the council and get approval for some additional funds for the Park and Rec Board meeting to meet beyond their regular meeting to visit these parks, so we can kind of make some changes and get some things done. So I'd like to ask the council to consider that for September, October, November, and then.
You don't want to go out in the snow?
I don't want to go out in the snow. I don't want to wear my parka. But we've been to 4 of the parks already, and we're starting to make some immediate impact. So I think it's worthwhile to consider approving those funds. All the commissioners are on board of attending these meetings. Nicole's been there, Chrissy's been there, Dan's been there. So, like I said, we're working hard.
I agree. This new group has a lot of momentum to get things done, so happy with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yep.
They need approval for the special meetings?
Technically, yeah, they're not supposed to have more than their one monthly meeting, and we're paying them, so I think it would just be a good cover to get your blessing for that.
So they didn't get paid for the previous 2 special meetings?
They get paid for those, but I said if you're gonna keep
Oh,
calling special meetings, we should probably get some.
I was just
approval
making
for
sure,
that.
otherwise somebody
Yeah,
had
no,
to
they'll get
back,
paid for those too.
so.
Is there, Dwayne, was there any specific date those months that you wanted to do those meetings?
Typically they happen after the following Monday after the Park and Rec Board, so it's more towards the latter 2 weeks of the month. That's why I didn't discuss the visits at Carver and Veterans Park.
And this is all to get input for the Park and Trail plan, right?
What's that, sir?
And this is all to get input for the Park and Trail plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve special Park and Rec meetings for September, October, and November, in addition to their regularly scheduled meetings.
I will second.
Further discussion? You have any discussion, Avery? Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
I'll vote yes, motion passes 5-0.
So once we get these, we prioritize these stuff, this should help us identify some short and long-term needs for budgeting purposes. So hopefully we'll be able to hit the ground running for 2023 and be able to make some recommendations right out of the gate for the city council. The last subject I want to talk about, obviously, is the horse itself. It's the regional park. In July, the Park and Board meeting met, and we established 2 possible picnic shelter locations. The city engineer was there at our July and August meetings, and I understand the locations that we possibly were going to recommend to the city council from the previous bore samples, I understand that peat was identified anywhere from 3 to 10 feet down. So the sites we identified were not conducive. So we actually met again in August, and we recognized 2 possible other areas that we'd like to recommend to the council, but unfortunately that's going to require some additional bore soil samples. And hopefully the city engineer is gonna bail me out here. But the Park and Rec Board's recommendation is to approve those funds if you feel like we would like to move forward with that picnic shelter out there in the regional park. But I'm gonna let the city engineer, he's more an expert than me on this, so I'm just a jibber jabber guy.
Mayor, council, should I address that agenda item at this time?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So yes, the park board did meet, discuss the original proposed location of the shelter. Soil borings were obtained. It was discovered that there was a lens of peat between 6 and 11 feet below grade. There were some options that were discussed in terms of what to do about an appropriate foundation for that. Ultimately, on August 15th, Park Board met and recommended 2 alternate locations for the potential park shelter. Those are identified in your packets on the map there this evening. So with that, we obtained pricing for soil borings for the 2 alternate shelter locations, 2 at each location. And then subsequent to that, there's also some discussion about obtaining additional soil borings around the regional park itself. So the 4 soil borings identified for the 2 alternate shelter locations, the estimate provided by the geotechnical company is $5,900 to acquire 10 additional borings throughout the park area, which is also noted on that map. So the 4 plus an additional 10 for a total of 14 soil borings. Cost estimate from the geotechnical firm of $12,500. So I'll pause there and determine or wait to hear from council as to what direction you might want to go.
Correct me if I'm wrong, if we just go out with the 4 and then come back and do 10 more at another time, we're cost saving by doing these 14 at once, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see that reflected in the unit price because of the mobilization charge.
Now, these samples need to be done in order to find a good place for the foundation, correct?
Yeah, so with the park shelter, we definitely want to know what the foundation soils are like underneath the park shelter. The additional borings then could be further utilized as the regional park continues to expand or additional plans are made for that area out there.
How many prior soil borings were done with the park when we were initially, before our time here? How many were done, do you know?
I don't know the quantity off the top of my head, but I know that there's some borings done around the access and parking areas associated with the park. So I don't have the exact number, but that was the generalized location of where they were done.
So we're just looking at the parking area and the road, essentially?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Bolton and Mink have any knowledge about what the soil was like out in the regional park, when dinosaurs roamed the earth kind of thing?
In terms of,
I guess what I'm asking here is what are the chances of putting more holes in the ground? Are we going to find anything different than we've already found?
it's my understanding that in the parking area that I'm referring to for council's benefit is the area near the baseball fields. When there was a previous grading project that was done out there. In those borings themselves, I know that there was not peat in those borings. There was some sand that was brought in for stabilization, but I know there was no peat that needed to be excavated. So in terms of what's out there for the soils, I would only be speculating, to be honest with you.
Well, if we're gonna find what soil works out there for anything really, I think we're gonna have to get these soil samples done at some point or another, and the price isn't gonna go down if we wait.
Have you looked at alternatives such as, the sonar?
You mean ground penetrating
Yeah,
radar?
GPR.
We have not costed that out, no.
Okay. Is that more reliable, do you know, than soil boring?
Typically, I would have to check with Brown on that, but typically they use that a lot for utilities and things of that nature, more so than soil types. Although the different soil types do provide a different resistance level, so you can get an idea of the firmness. But I don't know what the depth that goes to is to provide a profile.
Yeah, I don't know. You're the engineer, Jared, that's why I'm
I
asking
can
you.
certainly ask them the question.
So we're gonna make any motion to approve this. Do we need to wait until it's on the agenda item, or can we? I'm looking more at the city attorney. Because it is on the agenda later, so if we're skipping, does that matter?
No, it doesn't matter, but I would technically say you should amend the agenda because this is a general purpose meeting. You can talk about any city business, but I would say, yeah, amend the agenda to talk about it move it to where you want to talk about it is the official answer.
Like what we just did. Yeah,
So amend it to move it to right
Yes.
now.
right.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, then I will make a motion to amend the agenda and move soil boring to Park and Rec, item 3.
I have a second.
Further discussion. Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
I'll vote yes, motion passes 5-0. Okay, so no matter what, at some point, this is all gonna have to get done, correct, Jared?
Correct.
And you do not see any cost savings in waiting or doing a radar or laser reading, as Mr. Marslick was saying?
Yeah, the pricing provided takes into account the mobilization charge. So if they're out here, the unit cost per boring is cheaper to do 14 borings rather than 4. And I can certainly ask about the GPR for future purposes. I'm just not overly familiar with it as it's a geotechnical technology.
Because there's not much in the way of mobilization charges for that.
And this can get done in the next 4 weeks?
That is the schedule that was provided, I believe, yes.
Okay, well then I'll make a motion to approve 14 soil borings as shown on the attached map for a cost of $12,500.
I will second.
Further discussion?
I will say that I'm not 100% on board, but I see the need to do it. I think there's maybe other ways we can use that money, but I understand the need.
Well, I just think that the samples that we were given and taken for the park shelter and come back to find we can't put a park shelter there, we need to actually determine what we can put out in that park. And that needs to happen before we have any movement on this regional park.
Right.
Any further discussion?
No.
I agree with David.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Vote yes. Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0 to conduct the soil boring.
Mr. Mayor, I just have one more question. Just because of the recent actions I seen here tonight, I assume that the direction to Park and Rec Board, that the city council and the mayor wants us to move forward with the shelter idea. I mean, I don't hear that being, I mean, I understand the board sample's been blah, 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 and if all the stars align and the whole 9 yards, but, you know, with the deadline of DNR grant and everything else coming on,
How far can we push that grant out? We can ask for an extension, but there's no guarantee they'll give it to us, right?
Correct.
What's the likelihood that they will give us an extension on it?
Based on the conversations with the grant administrator, they didn't seem to make it seem like it was gonna be an issue as long as progress was continued to be made. Certainly if soil conditions that were not anticipated, that would certainly be a justification for continuing to move this process along. I mean, ultimately, the grant funds are fixed and they're capped, right? So that would have created a significant hardship for the city to do one of the other options, whether it's soil correction or helical piles or things of that nature, so.
How long do they typically put those extensions out for?
I
Or
think
can we
they're
ask for an
evaluated on a
amount?
case-by-case basis.
In the discussion at the last Park and Rec meeting, when Justin was there, he talked about, as long as we make some kind of progress on it, it would go out until 2023 is as far as we could go on it. But something you have to think about if you're doing, I mean, we have to do the soil bore no matter what out there. But in attending your budget meeting earlier, you know, we're already, what were we, 100 and some thousand short?
Yeah.
And part of the LGA is, you know, being spread other ways. Do we really want to continue moving forward with this shelter?
Well, I don't think
I
a
mean, you're just
decision's
kind
been
of
made
putting-
yet.
What's that?
I don't think a decision's been made yet on which way we want to go. I think
Right.
doing the soil boring will get us closer to maybe to that point. So I think that the soil boring is needed at this point to do that.
I agree, the soil boring is needed, but like I stated, we're already $150,000 roughly short on funds. And with the budget meeting that you guys just had prior to this meeting, you're taking away part of the LGA that was, you know, to go out to that park. So do we, I mean, I know at the next Park and Rec meeting, being a park member, we're gonna wonder what the council's kinda thinking, and if you want to proceed, because as much as we want the shelter out there, I don't think in attending these meetings that it's, I'm gonna go with, against the other park members, but I don't think it's a good decision
Well-
right now to move forward, but it's something you guys gotta think about.
To answer your question though, Dwayne, about if we want the Park and Rec to continue looking at the shelter,
yes,
I don't think we have enough information right now.
okay. So we'll just continue marching forward then.
Yeah, and you guys have plenty of other, I mean, you're looking at all the other parks too, so hopefully, once we get through this year and we have all of our budget stuff set and we have the soil boring answers, then we will have a better idea of what we're looking at out there, because if the soil borings comes back, and we might have to, you guys might have to put together a
Might be
whole
an
new plan
easy
for
answer
out
for
there.
you anyway.
Yeah, the plan that's out there could get totally redrawn
Yeah.
within the next couple of years.
Modify
if
and
the-
adjust, I get it.
yeah,
Thank you,
so-
Mr. Mayor.
I just have one more question on that then. How much more money are we gonna put into the city engineers to, you know, in the end, it's gonna be a no, we're not gonna proceed. Just.
Well, we
playing
don't
devil's-
know that
I'm just
yet.
playing devil's advocate there.
Well, we don't
You
know that yet,
so-
though.
I mean, wouldn't we like at least want to find out what we're working with
Right.
and not?
No, I
Is that
agree
what
with
you're
doing
saying?
the soil bores, because we have to figure that out, but we are on a deadline for the grant, is what I'm saying. So-
Yep, and I'd like to have all the puzzle pieces in front of me before I decide to put it together.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
City engineer.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Two pay estimates to report to you this evening. The first one is for Phase 1 of the improvements for Keekly Underground. To date, approximately $3.7 million worth of work has been completed, which represents approximately 71.5% of the total project. And pay estimate Number 6 is before you in the amount of $983,243.73, and we recommend its approval.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve project phase 1, pay application number 6.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
Where are we at with that phase, Jared? Did you say 75% done?
81.5.
71.5, yep.
And when were we looking at, the rest of the paving being done?
Yeah, so currently on phase 1, private utility companies are relocating their facilities. I know there's some concrete poured Friday, and they will be backfilling the curbed areas as soon as the curing period has finished. Typically that's 7 days. And then they'll start grading the roadways with the curb and gutter on it. In the meantime, those private utility companies are relocating their facilities. As soon as that's done, we can start excavating the street, bringing the gravel in, building it back up for curb, and then paving. So completion prior to the end of the construction season.
Because no matter what, they have to have it to where it can be plowed by wintertime.
It will have bituminous on the street.
That's what I think everybody cares about. Make sure the plows can get around and it's not a mud pile.
Right.
Any other discussion on the motion? Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Vote yes. Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Mayor Council, the second pay application is pay application number 5 for the phase 2 improvements for Northdale Construction. Their work completed to date is approximately 81.5% or $2.1 million. The pay estimate that is being recommended to you this evening, number 5, is in the amount of $418,336.17. Be happy to stand for any questions.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve phase 2, pay application number 5.
Second. Further discussion? Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. How is that only 81%? It looks good over there, though. It's,
Yes, so as council recalls, the the mill and overlay portion of that to the west is also included in this project. So that hasn't been done yet.
That's why it's 81%.
There's the seeding quantities that have recently been completed isn't in there, nor signs. So that's why. It seems like it's further along than that, but in terms of the actual payment, that's where it's at.
it does look really nice, and it's pretty well cleaned up now, too, so.
Yeah, and maybe just the final updates. You'll notice that there are some sections of sidewalk that have not been completed there. And ultimately, that's because we're waiting for Comcast to relocate their facilities from the old poles to the new poles so that the old poles can be pulled and the concrete can be finished. So that's why there's gaps in the sidewalk currently. But we're anticipating that should be done relatively soon too, so.
Windstream is one of the two, Jared, over there.
What's that?
Windstream is one of them over there.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Do you have any other updates for us, Jared?
Not unless you have any questions of me.
Do we know when the stop sign's going back on First and Emerson? That's becoming a little bit of a mess in the morning now that a lot of people are taking that road now. They're just flying right through them. It's getting kind of ugly.
Okay. We will, we'll look into that right away.
Can we just put a stop sign on Emerson only and make it a pass-through?
Racetrack.
It's 30 miles an hour.
Suggested.
You know, do we need a freaking freeway stop at every corner?
Any other questions for Jared? Public Works?
Mayor, council, in your packet, I don't know if some of you know, we have some little bit of road issues out in Pheasant Hills with some catch basins, some heavage, some sidewalk damage. It's starting to fall in. You have two estimates here. The two road crews in town and our projects were nice enough to give us quotes to get this fixed. And I just need a motion for you guys to approve one of the two, Keekly Underground in here for $70,728, or Northdale Construction for $113,692.
Do you know when either of them would be able to start on this project?
They say they'll be able to get it done this year, but, I hope they can. But you know what happens, weather permitting, so.
And it's pretty bad out there too. I mean, it's basically a sinkhole at this point.
Yeah, and then the one giant heave, so, I mean, a lot of this is on the high side. They kind of bid it high on that regard because this is existing and they ain't gonna know what they're gonna get into till they start cutting the road up and getting down into the piping area as far as storm and stuff, so. That's what I got as an explanation from both companies here.
And both of them said they could get to it this year?
That's what they told me, but that's the guy that was on site, so.
Do you know how long the project would take?
I do not, they did not give me a time estimate.
And do you know if they're, replacing these catch basins, if, they're putting some sort of rubber seal on those to, help it last longer?
I'm assuming they aren't, but if they don't, the city will.
Okay.
We're not gonna get them fixed and not fix them completely right. I don't recall us asking them to seal them, but it might be on these bids. Cause I think both these companies usually are pretty good at sealing these up now, cause they don't wanna be called back for anything either, so.
And I like that the one is $40,000 cheaper, but we're also waiting on them to kind of get this south side of the tracks kind of shored up. And if we're gonna have it done this year, I would rather pay more money to not see a plow truck go through that road with that sinkhole there. But if Keekly would be able to get to it this year, I'd be okay with paying less money, but that's kind of the worry that they don't know.
Yeah, us as Public Works would like to see it fixed this year too. Let's be honest. But like I said, they can sit there and say they're going to, this ain't gonna be this ain't something that we had engineers design here and put out for bids here. This is where they gotta sign a contract and have it done by a certain time. Usually when they asking both these crews, usually when they tackle something like this, they'd like to get in there and take care of it. Get in, get out, and get on. So, can I guarantee it's gonna be done? No, I can't. And I don't think Keekly or Northdale really said they could guarantee, but they both said they would try to get it done this year. Keekly, as far as, back to your comment, Kirby, as far as Keekly on this side, it's not completely their fault that you think, obviously.
No, I know it's not. It's the utilities need to get moved, but I just, if they're trying to play catch up on this side of the tracks, so I don't want to put them behind or to put extra projects on there if it can't be, that's why it's.
Well, I purposely, we said this to them, don't bid it if you don't think you can get to it.
Because they're also doing Forest Creek
Yep.
trails.
Yep, Keekly.
Correct.
Well, not to talk for Keekly, but I believe this is mainly underground work, and their underground crew is gone from here already.
Correct. Keekly is the pipe people, and they have all the pipe, I believe, right, Jared, laid on this side of town. Water, sewer, and storm. So.
And these bids are basically worst case scenarios, correct?
I'm hoping so. That's what they're both saying. It's storm that's heaving the road, storm that needs to be fixed, storm catch basins, some drainage behind some sidewalks, and a couple or maybe one manhole that we want lowered. So.
Well, and I guess if they're the underground and the pipe people and they're no longer.
Well, both construction crews in my, dealing with them all summer, as far as Keekly and Northdale, they both do a great job, so.
I mean, these are identical on, as far as units and everything, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, I
Keekly
mean-
would be the best choice here
It's just price-wise.
on that.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, to approve, the Keekly Underground quote for $70,728 to, fix the catch basins in Pheasant Hills.
I'll second.
Further discussion? And you can get a timetable from them as soon as we approve this?
I'm hoping so. We actually meet with them tomorrow at 1:30.
That's one of my concerns, is that you're gonna have a plow truck driver go around that corner and it's gonna go through this winter. That's one of the concerns that I have, and then we're gonna run into a whole different mess of troubles, and I'd rather not have to call the fire department to fish Coco out of there.
There's a few guys back there that'll take the $10 to do that call.
Yeah, I don't wanna see anybody from Public Works getting hurt either, so.
You have to fish himself out of there.
Yeah.
Fish
Is there any other discussion on the motion? Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Updates, Mayor and Council, last month you approved me an umbrella amount of 50,000 for a pickup. I found one used half-ton four-wheel drive Chevy, 23,000 miles. I bought it for 31,028. Tack on probably another $1,900 for the lights and decals and toolbox. So roughly when I'm done, it'll be 33,000 roughly. So I was under budget on that. The big scare on well 6 turned out not to be a big scare. The motor was not bad. It was a wiring issue that we are currently going after Kilmer Electric for, which sounds like they will pay. So no money out of the city's pocket on that. Let's see. Oh, the position. We extended the advertising for the operator position, and Jess also extended into the Herald Journals to reach a little further west and south. Still to this point, we've had 3 applications, so.
How many are you looking for?
Huh?
How many are you looking for?
Applications?
Yeah.
The more the better. I don't know, Jess, when is the exact shut off that you,
Well, we've extended it now. I don't think we've reestablished an end date for that, since we just haven't gotten very many.
out of the 3 we have right now, only one of them is licensed to take the spot. So that's why I say the more the better. And this person doesn't even live in the state,
Right.
so. But yeah, we want to advertise it for more, but it's not, I'm just gonna be honest, it's not looking great right now, so.
Any other questions for Dan?
Yeah, that's all I have as far as updates.
Old business. Request for proposal, refuse and recycling.
Mayor and council, this is the final-ish draft of the RFP that we're going to put out for refuse and recycling for new mixed solid waste collection in town. There's a couple highlighted areas for dates. I wasn't sure which exact dates we wanted to go with here, like as far as a deadline for submittal from companies to submit that. Staff, the council reviews, interviews with city council would likely have to be at a meeting, and then also the appointment, and then a date for the new contract to begin. I don't know if you've reviewed those dates at all, and if those look okay for you.
Is that a good time frame for you, the 14th of October?
For staff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you think that's enough time to put it out there. Otherwise, we could push it back a week and push everything back, but still have that goal, that January 1 switch over.
Can we change this wording of the frequency? I don't want to limit ourselves to Fridays. Again,
That was a request, yeah.
True.
so if we could remove that wording, that'd be awesome. Other
So
than that,
just the mixed solid waste should be collected once per week
Yep.
without that Friday restriction? Okay, we can do that, right? Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, one question, but still have it be a consistent day.
Day,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
just not
yes,
limit,
definitely.
limit them right now
A
to.
designated day of the week.
No musical days,
thank you for clarifying.
Okay, no problem.
but
Appreciate
keeping it on Friday as now we've already adjusted would be nice.
Maybe you have, a lot of people haven't.
What about the dates, or are there any other comments or issues with the proposal itself?
I think the dates are fine.
Dates look good for me.
Yeah, we'll get it in the paper this week, both of them, and then, okay,
Do you
perfect.
need a motion to approve that, or?
Yeah, I would like one.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and get the request for proposal for refuse and recycling out.
I will second.
Further discussion? Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
I'll vote yes, motion passes 5-0. Pheasant Hills backyard drainage.
This was some old business from a city engineer. We had them look into, I put the estimate in there for this backyard drainage fix. There are some residents out there that are having some flooding issues with the flat area. I think we need to make a decision on how to move forward with this.
Danny, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't know, I haven't really been involved in this planning. I've looked at what, Bolton Mink, kind of said to do out there. This will be something that I'm just gonna let you know that will have to be hired out. I mean, we won't do this. It'll have to be bid out, so. The house has been there 20 years and now they have a problem with drainage. That's my thought. I don't know. Well, if the city wants to move forward, I need, what my thoughts are and what you guys want to do is two different things. I'm gonna be honest with you, I mean, they've been there 20 years and now there's an issue with how it drains. I don't know. I don't think, in my opinion, the city shouldn't proceed and the homeowner should just bring plans to fix it themselves. So if you want my honest opinion, that's my opinion. So if you want to proceed, you'd have to make a motion or something to have Bolton Mink put this out for bids.
So putting down drain tile wouldn't be something that Public Works could handle this year?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have the equipment.
Okay.
You want us in their backyards with a Bobcat. We're gonna need someone to laser shoot to make sure we're draining it right. I mean, we typically don't do that kind of work. We don't lay drain tile. We're not the professionals when it comes to laying drain tile.
Yep, I was just wanted to clarify that.
Right. I would like to stay out of the backyard, but if you tell us we gotta do it, then we gotta do it.
Is there any other thoughts or opinions on this?
Jared, just looking at this, I mean, obviously you guys are saying first and foremost, the grading improvements with the optional drain tile. Do you look at the grading improvements as a Band-Aid or something that can absolutely, make a difference for the homeowners back there?
So with the flat slopes in that whole development, in that area, it'll definitely make an improvement, but I won't stand before you tonight and say that with 100% certainty. There won't be water sitting from time to time in some locations in those backyards. That's why the optional drain tile was added to the estimate that I provided back in August, because I know that when this first came up, there were some concerns about saturated backyards and things of that nature, so the drain tile helped take some of that.
Well, I think some of the concerns that were brought up too was that there was flooding in basements on that road, correct? And we got that email about that there was flooding in their basement is kind of what sparked it all. And then that led to the saturated backyards, but I agree with Danny that, we're gonna start fixing all the backyards, then,
And I guess I'm not trying to sound biased, but when you start fixing for 2 or 3 people, you're gonna be fixing for everybody.
I believe one option also could be for the city to facilitate the fix and assess the property owners for the cost.
would that be,
I don't know if that's what the property owners would want, though.
right?
And I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that. Or if you think we should fix it or leave it, or.
If we go the route of assessing them on that, is that something we have a meeting with them and see if that's actually something they want and move forward if they want to, and if they don't, then they're on their own. I think that's a good solution right there.
I'm on board with that.
Would that need to be a public hearing with just them, or how would that be set up?
So there's a petition and waiver process where a private property owner can request that the city perform work and then waive this special assessment hearing and process. And that's something we can put together pretty easily if that's the route the city and the property owner wants to take.
I don't know if they would want to take that, but I'd feel like they would want to be a part of the conversation if we're looking at them paying for those improvements versus the city.
Yep.
This is one of the residents that's affected by this.
My name is Sue. I'm right where the pond is and everybody's water comes. So I have a huge issue in my yard. I just moved here 3 years ago. But from what I gather, there has always been a problem with water coming into that area, and then the former owners did a lot of grading all the time. But a few years ago, the city did do drain tiling from the pond area all the way south. But the water runs from the north end all the way to the south end, and never did from the north to the middle or complete the process from the pond drain to I don't know, maybe 6-8 feet. That portion was never finished. But if you look at it, if you would have started at the beginning of the problem instead of the middle of the problem, there wouldn't be flooding in the backyards. So the city already rectified part of it, but didn't complete the other part of it. So I have water all the way up to my house because it comes from the hill, and all the neighbors, there's nothing I can do about it except, this is probably an issue that stems back from when construction first began. In the city and the contractor probably should have put drain tile in and talked about all of that in the very beginning. Excuse me. So I'm really concerned come spring again, when all this happens and we have great waterfall. I've sent lots of pictures in, gave pictures to the guy that came out and did the assessment or whatever. My whole yard is flooded and water coming in. My sump pump runs every minute or less. It is a real issue, and in my neighbor's yard and in their basements, so. This is a problem that's been ongoing since they built houses out there. This isn't brand new. The city was sued already and did part of it, but didn't do from the starting point of the problem, only halfway. That's my take on it. I mean, I can see, I'm not an engineer, but I can see water is coming from the north, it's going to go south, and you should do all of it, not start in the center to one end. Should have been started in the beginning. So, anyways, that's my take. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Is there any other thoughts, opinions on that? Where we want to go forward with this?
Do we know how long ago that initial project was done?
I want to say it was,
What do you mean by initial,
when Sean and
the
Jason went,
development itself, or
Not
what
the
she's talking
development.
about?
no, when Sean and Jason went out and put in drain tile.
Yeah, that was a former public works director and public works employee spearheading that themselves, which I don't recall. I don't know, 8-10 years ago, maybe, if not more.
So that was just done by themselves, it wasn't approved through
Yeah, they
council?
went in there with, they rented a mini excavator, if I remember. I don't recall the details. I was in water and wastewater back then, so I was out at the plant, but I think they were in there with a mini backhoe and laid some drain tile to a catch basin, I believe. Yeah, and did it along a few houses in that cul-de-sac, but not all the way up to the north.
Sounds right.
Was that designed? It wasn't designed, it wasn't done anything, it was a whim. They went out and did it. I think they might have had an engineer or some survey shoot grade on it for them, to let them know how far they had to bury the stuff, but I can't give you the details, I don't recall. But I'm gonna guess 8 to 10 years ago.
Is this sort of the same issue that there was in Forest Creek? Along those lines? I know there was some drainage issues there also.
Yeah, I don't know if it was along the same issues. There was a culvert that got lowered there,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was years ago.
a little different.
Yeah, I think that was a little different.
which we hired out.
There was also an issue on Loveland and Aspen, drainage issue where they put in drain tile. We haven't had a problem since. That was probably 6, 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
I mean, I just unfortunately think there's been a little bit of precedent set. And I think we need to fix the problem.
Well, especially since we've had previous employees that tried to fix it on their own.
I'm sorry to ask, is this something that happens mostly just springtime, summertime? You don't get much issues in the winter?
Well, no, it's off-road.
Well, I'm just, like, you get no major issues like that?
Heavy rain and all the thawing and
Okay.
summertime. Yeah, I can't even get in to mow my backyard because I'm up to my calves in water.
Oh my God.
And then, now all my grass is real deep and I just have swamp weeds.
Yep.
Now in my yard, I can't do anything, certainly I have to, even have to, because it's coming to the go.
I mean, I think this is definitely an issue with the developer and how they plan this all out, but I think this is something that, because of what happened 8 to 10 years ago, It's
It wasn't-
something I think we need to look at hard.
It obviously wasn't taken care of back then, and now here it is to us.
We gotta stop putting Band-Aids on stuff in town.
Yep.
And actually fix the issues.
Yeah, I agree.
So, we would like Bolton and Mink to go out for bids then?
I'll make a motion for Bolton and Mink to go out for bids on the, Pheasant Hills backyard drainage.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
And I think we might as well just bid it with drain tile, or else you're gonna have the same problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Drain tile.
Yep.
Do you mean amend the
Just,
motion?
Mr. Mayor, just a question. Do you want that, this may be overstepping, do you want that bid as the sort of the alternative, since it's presented as the core and then the optional drain tile? The bid is an alternative to see what they look like. Separately, you can do it all together. I just wanted to clarify since it's presented with an
I would say do it all together with drain tile.
Yeah, and that's, yeah.
One bid, yeah.
Does he need to amend that? Can he offer a friendly amendment?
No, I think just that clarification is adequate.
Further discussion? I'll vote yes. Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff? Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0 to go out for bids. New business. 230 3rd Street South.
Mayor and Council, this is the property that is on the way, on the Post Office Road, we would call it now. It's the White House that's sort of in the back of the City Hall property. We bought that a few years ago now. We have had some issues with kids being inside of it, some vandalism things, some stuff like that going on. We have boarded it up. We would like to see it destroyed, whether that is through the fire department with a fire or to get it taken down. I believe Danny had talked to Ward Carlson about taking down this building. I can't,
Correct.
and how much was he quoting for that?
12 to 15. If I remember, or 11 to 15, I'm sorry, because we were also asking for him to take some trees out too, some things we wanted to add. We just wanted to make it a big, giant green space, so.
The other alternative is the fire department, and they'll start with asbestos testing and different things as far as that, to do a controlled burn if possible on that property.
Then you would still have to have somebody come and haul it out, probably Ward, but it would be at a cost of a fraction of that price probably. But
I don't know if Ward hauls away burnt stuff, so I can't speak for him. Ask him that.
If it can be used for fire department training, I would prefer that, because I would rather them be better trained when they're trying to save me in a burning house than not be better trained. That's my opinion.
we can start the process. The one thing that I will say is, once I kick off the process, the first step is the asbestos check.
There's no going back from
And
that.
that comes through the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, at which point then it would be our responsibility to notify Ward that that house contains asbestos, in which case getting rid of that house price could potentially go up.
Wouldn't that be better to take that precaution regardless than to knock it down and hope the neighbors don't try to sue us for killing them with asbestos?
Yeah, I think he should know what he's getting into.
Okay. Maybe just a motion then to get that process started for Kevin.
You could figure out how to word that. So.
I don't even really need a motion. It's already, okay, if you want to do a motion, that's fine.
Just to make sure there's action on the city property, that's all.
Okay, I'll make a motion to let Kevin move forward with investigation regarding the asbestos in that home, a potential burn down by the fire department.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
Yeah, who is gonna pay for the investigation?
The fire department.
Fire department
Okay,
does.
and then, I guess, maybe you know or don't, but if it does come back, it's full of asbestos, can you guys burn it?
The property owner needs to abate the asbestos issue. property owner can work on
Getting rid of it.
getting the asbestos items out so we can affect the burn. That's where I'll be.
Okay.
So between all of us, we can make stuff work, I think, so.
Further discussion on that motion? Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
I'll vote yes, motion passes 5-0.
And just for notification, the burn would not happen until probably December, January, because people have their windows open right now, so burning them out would not be happening. Unless you want to deal with that.
Nope.
Request for proposal for the preserve development.
Mayor and council, Mayor and Mr. Marslick and myself had a meeting
And
few
Danny.
weeks ago. And who? Oh, and Danny, yeah. Had a meeting a couple weeks ago with, somebody who was interested in the preserve. One of their suggestions was to perhaps put that out for a request for proposal to see what kind of ideas people might have for, development for that, property as far as developers putting in proposals for that. Wanted to see what everybody's thoughts were on that, and we could potentially start the process, writing the RFP.
So basically, instead of us waiting for someone to approach us and buy it, we would actively go out and look for a developer to come in and give us a proposal to develop that property that the city has been sitting on for
Years.
an X number of years.
Yeah, I think that's a solid idea.
And this was coming from a potential developer who is interested, like she said, and he said, I love this property, I'm going to bid on it, but I think you need to do this for the best interest of the city.
And I totally agree. I think that's something we need to do.
If we get multiple bids, it gives us the right to pick the right one.
Yep.
Make it right.
Can I ask, what is the address on it?
Preserve.
It's off of Willow Drive. It's right across, it's down Highway 12, in between here and Waverly. It's right across from, the 12 High Mobile Home Park.
Need a motion for RFPs, or can she put it together and then we approve it?
Let's just do a motion.
Yeah, motion to just develop the RFP.
Make a motion to approve an RFP for the preserve development.
I will second.
Further discussion? Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Okay, I was contacted about a month and a half ago by the Iris Foundation, requesting cities around the country to make a proclamation in, for infant loss and remembrance. And so the Iris Foundation is the Infants Remembered in Silence Incorporated, and they're a nonprofit organization. So I had city staff put together a proclamation, and so here it is. Whereas the Infant Remembered in Silence Incorporated and many other nonprofit organizations work with thousands of parents all over the state of Minnesota and across the United States who have experienced the death of a child during pregnancy, through early childhood, and whereas many of these parents live in, deliver in, have a child die in, or bury a child in our community, and whereas Infants Remembered in Silence, Inc., 501c3 nonprofit organization was founded in 1987, 35 years ago, to offer support for parents whose child/children died from miscarriage, ectopic pregnancy, molar pregnancy, stillbirth, neonatal death, birth defect, sudden unexplained death of a child, sudden infant death syndrome, illness, accidents, and all other types of infants and early childhood death. And whereas bereaved parents around the world remember their children annually on October 15th with candle lighting at 7 p.m. Some will remember their child/children in their homes, while others will remember them in small gatherings around the state, across the nation, and around the world. And this would unify these parents in tribute to their children. And whereas in 1988, President Ronald Reagan proclaimed October as National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and whereas in honor of the thousands of children that die each year in Minnesota, Infants Remembered in Silence Incorporated respectfully requests that October 15th, 2022 be recognized as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Montrose, Minnesota. There are no open forum requests. Upcoming meetings, Planning and Zoning Commission, September 14th, 7 PM, Community Center. Special Council meeting, September 19th, 4 PM, Montrose City Hall. Park and Rec, Monday, September 19th, 5:30 PM. EDA, Tuesday, September 20th, 12 PM, City Hall. Regular City Council meeting on Monday, October 10th at 7 PM. Before acknowledgements, there was two other announcements. One, we had a resident reach out about last month's meeting. He just wanted to make note that he wrote a letter in response to accusations against him. They're at the desk. He couldn't be here to read them. So if you care to, the letter's by the front door. And also, if you know of any businesses that are looking for commercial renters to come in, I have been contacted personally through my city council email about potential businesses wanting to come into Montrose. So, any acknowledgements?
I'd like to acknowledge firefighters, first responders, city staff for their excellent work as always.
Yeah, and I just want to thank the guys too for sitting out on Highway 12 yesterday, all day again. So they do it every year and they're not going to let us forget, so. Any other acknowledgements? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Vote yes. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. We're adjourned.
Should acknowledge Avery for sitting there all that time thinking, what the world is going on here?
I was looking at it. I kept asking her what she wanted to say.